at a point in my spiritual walk where I am done convincing anyone to be anything. Part of it is because I have enough respect for myself to know that, I don't really vibe with people who try to convince me to be something I'm not. So what I try to do is not do the same thing, if that makes sense. So someone may need to hear that. It takes energy to get energy. The work that you may not be willing to do is exactly what it is, that is exactly what you need for you to have life. Because energy is life. Life is energy. And if we're on that subject of energy and life, think about the entity that represents the highest vibrational force in the universe, the sun. The sun is all energy. The sun is all energy. If the sun ceases to exist, y'all, there would be no life on this planet. Like literally, if the sun, didn't shine for like, I don't know how many, X amount of hours, we could talk to the scientists that know the exact, information. If the sun ceases to shine, like, let's just be real, like real talk for a second. Let's just keep it a bean, like we say, keep it 100, right? When the sun doesn't shine for even 2 days, think about how you feel. Think about the energy that you associate with that. When it just ceases to shine just for 2 days, think of what happens to you psychologically as well as physically. Okay? And so we're keeping on that subject of energy. The sun provides energy. The sun is energy. And so the message that I receive for some of you who are just joining in, it takes energy to get energy. All right? It takes energy to get energy. So I did end up making that, that juice that, my spirit was like, go ahead, make that juice. All right. So, I peeled and, I don't have a juicer yet. All right. So I made it old school. I just made it old school. I peeled my grapefruit. I peeled my grapefruit and I squeezed it. Actually, no, this time I didn't squeeze it. What I ended up doing was I did compromise a little bit. I ended up blending it. Okay. So I ended up blending the grapefruit in a little bit of water. And it's usually not how I like the juice because I like the pure grapefruit juice. Okay. And FYI, grapefruit is an excellent source of vitamin C. And the point of this, y'all, is that, that day that I ended up, making the juice, I listened to my spirit and I took the time and energy to make that juice. Like later on during the evening, I kind of like, started feeling like, oh, there was something coming on, like the sniffles. It's that time of year. And don't you know, the vitamin C in that grapefruit was what my body needed to combat whatever it was that's out there. So a lot of times, when our spirit speaks to us, we don't fully know why it is that our spirit says, listen, go left, don't go right. Okay? We don't always know when our spirit tells us, like, leave that there, don't take it with you. Or our spirit tell us, that person is not really, going to help you to grow. It's time for you to, a lot of times we're not really sure why. Spirit says like you've outgrown something, someone, or it's time for you to just, sever ties or whatever it is. We're not always sure why Spirit says to move in the directions that we move. And a lot of times we don't find out. For some folks, they don't find out until it's too late. Okay? And, it's like, and I'm not even sure if it's a goal, but for lack of a better term, I'm going to say goal. The goal is to move to a place in your spiritual walk where you listen. You listen and you're not stubborn when spirit is speaking to you. And part of being able to listen is quieting down, you know, your energy. Like if you're always, just hype and, you're always quick to react, like there's no sense of calm there. And it's going to be challenging for you to listen to the voice of your spirit guides. If you have the wrong types of people in your energy, it's going to be challenging to listen to the voice of your spirit guides. So, I get a lot of questions from folks like, on this channel, how do I connect with spirit? How do I get closer to my ancestors? And a huge part of it is shutting out the noise. Okay. A huge part of it is shutting out that noise so that way you can hear. Because what that noise sometimes tries to convince you, that noise will be the thing that will try to convince you to not listen to spirit. It will try to convince you that there is, to go on that 3-dimensional level instead of going to the 5-dimensional level. That's what that noise will do. That's why it's called noise. And that noise is, it can be symbolic of anything. It could be a person. It could be a place. It could actually be your energy. A lot of times we don't realize that it's us standing in our way. Okay? It's us standing in the way. And the thing is, some of y'all don't realize like what folks had to go through to become the person that they are. Like folks were not just spiritual overnight, y'all. The people that you see that are walking a spiritual path, that are walking a path, they didn't just get there overnight. Like some of us have to we had to really, really, okay, it was some tough, challenging situations, y'all. Like a lot of you right now, you could be seeing the end result of, someone's work. And it tends to be that way. A lot of folks don't see the hard part of that spiritual walk. They see the glitz, they see the glamour, they see you, speaking that verbiage that shows that, you've done some kind of work. Okay. Like you can look at someone and you're like, yeah, they've done some kind of work, yet you don't know what they had to do to get there. You don't know what they had to do to get there. You don't know the kind of work, okay, that they had to do within themselves to get to where they are. And that's the part a lot of folks they're not wanting to comprehend. They're not wanting to, grasp their mind around the work that is necessary for you to get to where you want to go. They want to do the physical work, okay? But the spiritual work is a lot more challenging, yet it's a lot more rewarding. The spiritual work is not work that someone's going to give you the formula for it. And that's part of what makes it challenging, because you have folks who are so used to being told what to do all their lives. When it comes to them choosing for themselves, choosing the path for themselves, it's hard, it's challenging, because they're so used to the noise. They're so used to someone telling them exactly what to do. And so when they get to the point where they have no one telling them what to do, they don't know what to do. There's a lot of folks out there, y'all, that have no idea how to think for themselves, y'all. And this is no judgment at all. This is no judgment at all. If you're in that space, like, I get it. Okay, I get it. And just know that it's like, it gotta start with like you being authentically you and no one else. As long as someone is whispering noises into your ear, right, that are not your own thoughts. All right. And I'm not saying that listening to people give you guidance is a bad thing. because there's a place and space for that, right? There's a space and place for that. Like there is a point in your spiritual walk where it is necessary, depending on